What's going on, family? It is D Money here, shouting out the Brotherhood edition with the Blue and Black attack. Family, the question that I strike is because I've been watching this playoffs this past weekend. The CJ Strouds, the Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Drake May, and so forth. And let me start off by first saying, if you are anti-Bryce, I'm not here to persuade family. You feel how you feel. If you are a lover of Bryce or whatever, I'm not here to endorse or place a crown on brother Bryce's head. I'm more like that guy that's right there in the middle. As long as he's a Panthers quarterback, I'm going to support him, and that's just how it goes. But I look at the first 3 years of Bryce Young, okay? And the first year talked about how horrible Bryce Young was. Like a lot of people were sick in the stomach. They could have had CJ Stroud or possibly not trading up, and the record would have still been what it was. Having a Caleb Williams or a Drake May, and etc. But I really want to, it took my mind. I looked at CJ Stroud. He had the interceptions and turnovers against Pittsburgh. Um, then we go into the game against the Patriots. And this game in particular is what really, really struck my question, had my thoughts brewing, had the wheels turning. And the question that really came to me is did we actually draft the right quarterback for us and what we're trying to do? I was watching the stream, dude. It was a watch along. Guy Trey 3000 on Twitch, great guy, and he's a big Houston Texans fan. He be in the building for quite a few of those games, and he was doing the watch along. And I was looking in the chat, and I was hearing things like CJ Stroud really needs some competition in their quarterback room. I heard everything from I don't know about a 5th-year option on CJ Stroud. Then you had the other side of people who still have a support for CJ Stroud saying that offensive line needed to be bolstered, or he didn't have weapons that could get separation. And the reason why it made my wheels turn, because it reminds me of my Panther family during this growing pains and evolution and maturation of Bryce Young. We still have some that would like competition for Bryce Young. I'm not against that. Having a viable backup quarterback is never a bad thing. We have people that feel that in this offseason, we need to get into the draft and look at some more offensive linemen, go into free agency, and possibly spend a little bit more money in the offensive line because of injuries and so forth, and just not knowing how everything is going to play out, don't have the crystal ball and so forth. And then we heard the thing about the lack of weapons, no guys. And, he had a Nico Collins, but I remember 2 years ago, he had a healthy Tank Dell, CJ Stroud had, and he looked a lot better. He had a running game, which his running backs were injured for the most part. So there was not a running game this year. And now all of a sudden, all those Texans fans that was thanking the Panther fans for picking Bryce Young and getting CJ Stroud are now sitting here kind of questioning, like, is CJ Stroud the guy? Now, mind you, 4 interceptions, and I think a fumble is not ideal, and proving your point that you're a franchise quarterback. But the league MVP did the same thing just the day before. And, he said he let his team down. But I didn't see Buffalo fans, of course, saying, oh, Josh Allen needs competition in that room and so forth. And viably so. I wouldn't say that if I was a Buffalo Bills fan. I think I found it odd because the Texans had found such a success from CJ Stroud early on that they even have this bad period with the things that they said they had against him or whatever. That I don't think that it's the end of the road. I mean, I would have loved to have been in their position yesterday. I mean, I would have loved to have been able to play in that game with the Carolina Panthers playing in the next round. Um, the Texans have had multiple playoffs now, haven't been able to get very far, but they're knocking on the door. I guess for me to say all of this is is it better to have the quarterback struggle early on and find himself in year 3, year 4, and beyond? Or do you want the guy that just comes out right out the gates and is successful and is the team is getting wins and he's getting numbers and so forth, and that he's actually, making it look like he could be a Super Bowl contender? And then when it gets to the big games and the defense clamps up and the pressure is on and the lights are bright or whatever, that he's, you know, making mistakes that he didn't normally make. Would you prefer that disappointment as his career goes on? Or would you prefer him to get most of that stuff out the way early on? And it's not an indictment against CJ Stroud. But then let's also look into consideration. We talk about the Drake Mays. I love Drake May. He's a Tar Heel, so forth. Great quarterback. Has been in the MVP conversation. But these first two playoff games, he has been okay. He's made plays, but he hasn't just been jumping off the screen as a great quarterback. And this is his first playoff run. Like I said, not an indictment against him. But maybe just certain situations, quarterbacks have to come into their maturation by going through different things. Now, I've mentioned CJ Stroud. I've mentioned Drake May. Caleb Williams. He had Bears fans thanking us and then in total disgust in all of one game last night. And then like Bo Nix. Bo Nix fit the system in Denver, and now he is now facing his adversity. So is it fair to say that Bryce Young really is not garbage as a lot of people would want to say? And that Bryce Young is not trash? He just had a different level of adversity that he is now working out of. And now we're seeing success as a franchise. Not to say that CJ Stroud won't bounce back from that performance. That, like Caleb Williams, won't be fueled by that interception in overtime. Not like Bo Nix won't rehab and work and get fueled and saw how close that his team is and reignite a fire coming off an injury. Drake maybe can even change his thing around just this playoffs. Every young quarterback I've seen in the playoffs this year and through different stretches of the season have had up and downs and inconsistencies within their play. A lot of the things that people target Bryce Young for I'm excited to see the maturation and the elevation of Bryce Young, just on the simple grounds that I feel like we have nowhere to go but up with his game at this point. Will we acquire more weapons? I'm sure of it. Will we bolster that line to give him some more time for those weapons also? Absolutely. Do I think we're going to get more toughness on that line and maybe try to get that home run hitter that Dan Morgan was talking about in the backfield? Absolutely. So for me, I feel like Bryce Young would be third on my list of these young quarterbacks who have played in the playoffs this year as far as trajectory. And I could even dare to say number two, just because we don't know how Bo Nix and so forth will go with injuries, and we just don't know. But like right now, you got to have Drake May at the top of the list. He's still playing. Bo Nix would have been at the top of that list, but he hurt his ankle. Another thing, Bryce Young has not had that real injury. Real tough little guy, and I love it. So, Bryce Young at two, well, at three. We'll keep him at three because Caleb Williams did play good football, at least in second halves. The dude is clutch. The dude is absolutely clutch. But to sit back and look at the trajectory, Caleb Williams has a great trajectory. Drake May has a great trajectory. And I think after what we saw at the end of this year, Bryce Young has a great trajectory. And Bo Nix coming off injury, if he can settle back and everything is good, then he has a great trajectory. So on one aspect for the NFL, it's great that you have these young quarterbacks getting this experience. But I also don't think that any of these fan bases should truly be hurt from the play that these quarterbacks have exhibited in these playoffs. Like I said, these are young quarterbacks. The Bo Nix injury was unfortunate, but it still struck the question to me as a collective, media, fan base, people that talk sports. Have they been too hard on Bryce Young after seeing how these young quarterbacks have performed? And I can honestly say that that would always just be subject to opinion. I think it's subject to opinion. To me, some things were a little too rough. There were some things that were spot on. There was times he didn't help his case, and then there was times he helped his case. I feel like if we get to a certain consistency with this young man, the sky's the limit for this franchise. I was even thinking to myself while watching this playoffs, if our defenses would have been even remotely like, how can I put it, as good as like the Texans defense or remotely as good as the Patriots defense, I think Bryce Young could have led us even to a conference championship game. And that's not to knock our regime and who we have and so forth. But when you see how for the majority of the game, CJ Stroud stayed within one score because of the defense that he has, that lets you know you bolster a good and strong defense and your quarterback can stay consistent, sky's the limit. So I think for us right now, with the foundational building that we've been doing, and I have to continue to talk about the maturation and the evolution of Bryce Young, the maturation and evolution that we're hoping in the play caller Dave Canellis, and the new dogs and warriors that we will bring into this organization, that we're going to be just all right. I'm telling you, we're going to be all right. And I just feel like right now we're in a great opportunity and a great era to benefit for staying the course with Bryce Young. Hey, you tell me your thoughts. But if you ain't with us now, you ain't welcome to the parade.
These worlds of glory, this pain you'll carry no more. Oh, and write your triumph story. From humble beginnings to humble glory, the Brotherhood stands for pillars tall. We rise together or we don't rise at all. If I could hold you high for the world to see, they would admire humble beginning, our brotherhood stand, and our honor go. Never again you'll be wrong, Blue and Black has foretold. Undrafted, unknown from places they ignore, but we keep pounding till we even the score. Rico from nowhere, now he's breaking through. Bryce, they doubted, now he's breaking records too. Seven from Mullen, South Carolina pride. E from Charlotte with Nigerian side. Teammate chasing Rookie of the Year crown. From Arizona desert to Carolina town.
I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Brotherhood. Support Dee Money each and every week on new episodes. Join us live on Monday, 7 p.m. for Deal With It, a pickle podcast, and again on Thursday for The Cole Show. Come join the charge. This is the Blue and Black Attack.